Welcome to the official Personality Guru. No function in itself makes a personality type harmful, but its distortion or imbalance is perfectly capable of doing that. The extroverted thinking cognitive function is a perfect example of such a situation. In ordinary cases, ESTJs can already be considered aggressive, confrontational, domineering, and controlling, which means a consequence of preferring to assume a position of command. The damage is when, along with this position, there is also excessive rigidity that makes only your vision the correct one. In addition to showing intransigence, this makes the person lose the opportunity to perceive alternative paths and more appropriate perspectives. These situations are common for extremist people who can only perceive two opposite poles, have few options for solutions, and end up jumping to conclusions. More common than healthy, circumstances like this makes ESTJ proud to be so critical and practical, even if they are hurting others. Today, let us talk about the unhealthy ESTJ. Before we start, make sure to subscribe to the official Personality Guru and ring the bell icon to get regular updates on our latest uploads. And if you like this video, click the thumbs up button and share it with your friends. Much of the behavior explained above stems from the repression of feelings. The FI function is strongly marked by the awareness and defense of values and beliefs, and even the inner consciousness of what right and what is wrong. Therefore, the repression consequences of these functions are equally strong. This becomes dysfunctional and is characterized by extreme resistance to seeing how your actions can go against your values and beliefs at times. As an aggravating factor, these people generally do not present any steps on the way to changing this reality, all because they believe that self-analysis and contact with the inner world are more of a weakness than a necessity. This unhealthy version of ESTJ usually includes those who had problematic childhoods or little opportunity to develop the other cognitive functions of this personality. Generally speaking, when ESTJs are unhealthy, they lose much of their usual objectivity. This represents a great loss, especially because objectivity is a successful asset they can use in various areas of life. The unhealthiest types of ESTJs tend to operate with a warped or highly imbalanced extroverted thinking function. They tend to appear as dominating, aggressive, controlling, and confrontational. They like to be in charge, but when in charge, they become the strictest micromanagers, seeing their way as the only right way and ignoring other alternatives or perspectives. They see things in extremely black and white contexts, jump to conclusions quickly, and are insensitive toward others. They may pride themselves on saying it is what it is and may feel that this is simply honesty and therefore a trait to be admired. However, there's a certain pride in their no-holds-barred criticism, and they can walk all over the people and their feelings without care or concern. A lot of this behavior stems from extremely repressed introverted feelings, or FI. FI is very aware of values, identity, adherence to espoused values, and one's inner conscience or gut feeling of what's right or wrong. When the ESTJ represses this too extensively, they can resist seeing how their actions go against their values and what they say they believe in. They see self-analysis and introspection as weak or time-wasting characteristics that are better off ignored. ESTJs who fall into this category have usually not had a healthy childhood or background with which to develop an understanding of others or their other cognitive functions. Either they were left to their own devices without any good instruction or examples to draw from, or they were abused or belittled and had to play ego-defensive survival games to try to get by or survive. Keep in mind the description here is a rather extreme example. Many unhealthy ESTJs won't show up in this negative light. Unhealthy introverted sensing. ESTJs can also develop a warped or imbalanced use of their auxiliary function, introverted sensing, or SI. When this happens, they become obsessed with sticking to what they know, rapidly closing off alternative viewpoints and perspectives. They may become deeply upset by change, or they may become focused on seeing impracticalities in others. They may become so tied to their own personal, subjective experience that they discount other people's experiences or are unwilling to see other perspectives. Healthy SI is very aware of details, facts, sense, impressions, and important memories. It is practical, responsible, and highly attuned to changing patterns. Unhealthy SI feels that everything needs to fall in adherence with one's own subjective experience of how things have always been. The defensive ESTJ. ESTJs tend to feel the most threatened when there is uncertainty in the atmosphere, inefficiency, or ambiguity. If they are surrounded by what they perceive as laziness or procrastination, this is especially a problem. When they feel threatened in this way, they may A. Do whatever they can to maintain an image of being strong. They can adopt bullying behaviors, belittling people they see as weak or incompetent. They will suppress their vulnerabilities and inabilities and try to ignore them as much as possible. They may become sharply critical, judgmental, and condescending. Or B, they fall prey to supposed physical ailments or victim-like behaviors. They can become very self-pitying at this stage and nag, manipulate, or guilt other people into fulfilling an unmet need. Sometimes, this process is very unconscious to them and they almost don't realize they are doing it. More mild expressions of imbalance. Not every unhealthy ESTJ is going to fit the exact description above. They may struggle with certain issues mentioned, but not all. They may have minor symptoms of being unhealthy that are completely different. Here are some other weaknesses to be aware of. Because ESTJs value extroverted thinking to such a strong degree, they can risk overusing it or ignoring its other supporting functions. When this happens, they can become overbearing in their logic or condescending to people who don't see things in the same objectively logical way that they do. They may be dismissive of other people's feelings and adopt a just get over it attitude. They can be very quick to jump to conclusions or to decide on things using black and white binary judgments without taking the time to look at all the facts carefully. This is where the development of introverted sensing, or SI, is very important. When he wants to make a decision quickly, SI says, "Let's look at all the facts and details first," and gives the ESTJ much more balance. Because extroverted intuition, or NE, is the tertiary function of the ESTJ, they can have diminished access to it in early life, or they may exhibit immature expressions of it at times throughout their life. They can find themselves overwhelmed by a plethora of possibilities and feel unsure which possibility is the best one. Because TE has such a strong need for closure, they may just randomly pick one possibility and stick with it, even if it's not the best one. They can then be disappointed because they spend too much time adhering to their choice, even though it wasn't the best choice. They can also feel like they see hidden patterns where none exist. As ESTJs mature, they develop stronger and more healthy use of NE. As this happens, they usually enjoy brainstorming potential possibilities, exploring theoretical connections, and getting a stronger sense of what path to travel next or what possibility to explore. The TE-NE loop. When an ESTJ is in a TE-NE loop, they are unable to effectively access their introverted functions SI and FI. During these times, they become obsessed with possibilities, but often in a negative light. They may see a million ways of things could go wrong and try to jump in and fix them as quickly as possible without looking at the facts or taking the time to carefully observe the situation internally. They may have a difficult time prioritizing or reaching their goals, and they may take hasty action on strange, intuitive whims without really understanding where their premonitions are coming from. This can be a very stressful stage for them as they feel more and more frustrated by their inability to organize, plan, and decide as effectively as they usually do. It is important for ESTJs who realize they're in an NE-TE loop to get healthy access to SI. Take some time to enjoy some peace and reflect on an experience you enjoy. Find a favorite activity that you've always enjoyed, whether it's a crossword puzzle or cooking a certain meal, and repeat that process. Give yourself time to introvert and do some no-pressure, detail-oriented projects. Getting SI back into the picture will help you regain composure and get out of a loop. The grip stress phase. ESTJs who are experiencing extreme or chronic stress may fall into the grip of their inferior function. Introverted feeling, or FI, when this happens, their other functions become less conscious and they seem as if they are not their usual selves. If you suddenly see an ESTJ flip a switch and behave uncharacteristically, they may be experiencing grip stress. ESTJs who are normally level-headed, friendly, objective, logical, and productive can become extremely withdrawn, emotional, and hypersensitive, and fall prey to a martyr complex. They may misinterpret small, insignificant details into personal attacks and feel that everyone is against them. Physically, they tend to feel the tension in their shoulders, neck, and head as they hold in stress. The effects of the ESTJ shadow functions. Every type can feel overwhelmed and confused when dealing with their 5th to 8th functions. These shadow functions are more unconscious and therefore harder to use in a controlled, effective way. 5th, or introverted thinking. The 5th function is called the opposing role, and that's because it lies in opposition to the dominant function. In the case of the ESTJ, introverted thinking lies in opposition to extroverted thinking. They may use TI to oppose other people or to argue with themselves. They can become stubborn about models and principles they've created, categorizing everything in an overly simplistic manner. At times, they can use TI in an effective way, knowing which principle is the best one for a given situation. 6th, extroverted sensing. The 6th function bears the title of critical parent, and that's because it tends to be a way that we criticize ourselves first or others. ESTJs who are using SE in the critical parent role can become stuck on perceived facts to block other people's actions, or they can get caught up in the moment and become unusually impulsive. They may criticize themselves or others for being out of touch with reality or not in tune with their surroundings. At times, ESTJs can use SE in a positive way, and they can have astute observations about reality and make arguments that are realistic and convincing. They can respond at the moment quickly and with strong attention to current moment details. How about you? As an ESTJ or any other personality type, what do you think are your unhealthy ways or behaviors? Be sure to watch until the end and share your experience for a chance to have your comment pinned. 7th, or introverted intuition. The 7th function bears the title of trickster, and that's because it protects the tertiary function in the case of the ESTJ or NE from ego attacks by others. It does this by catching people in double binds or creating unwinnable traps for other people. ESTJ attempting to harness NI often envision how something will or won't work out and then ignore signs to the contrary. They may get a sense of knowing that something will play out a certain way and be unable to see alternative views. They may become overly negative, seeing only the disaster, or overly confident, seeing only how something will succeed. At times, ESTJs can experience NI in a positive way, having strong moments of foresight and appreciating symbolism or hidden meanings. Before we continue, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give us a like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the official Personality Guru for more amazing videos. Don't forget to ring the bell icon to stay updated with our content. 8th, extroverted feeling. The 8th function bears the title of demon, and that's because it's the most destructive and unconscious of all the ESTJ's cognitive functions. ESTJs tend to repress FE excessively and devalue it in others. They may not particularly care how other people feel about them, or they may ignore the emotional needs of others. When they are influenced by FE, they may become overly accommodating to other people's needs and, in exchange, feel put upon or taken advantage of. They may become overly concerned with how other people feel about them. At times, ESTJs can experience FE in a positive way, making strong personal connections and tending to other people's feelings and needs in ways that transform their lives.